Hello YouTube and welcome to the next in the route learning series of videos. Today's journey has actually been the most requested journey from all of my viewers and subscribers. I've had a number of journeys and trains to be covered which people have requested, but this has been by far the most requested route. So today we're going to be driving along the fantastic West Coast Main Line over Shap route by Keith Ross from Preston to Carlisle in a Virgin Trains Class 390 Pendolino. So we will be calling at Lancaster, Oxenholme, Penrith and Carlisle, and the total distance of the journey is around 90.5 miles, with a maximum speed limit of 125 miles per hour. So here at Preston we are taking over train 1 Sierra 87, which is the 1657 London Euston to Glasgow Central service. And as I mentioned, we're in a Class 390 Pendolino. The Pendolino is a tilting electric multiple unit, constructed between 2001 and 2004, and first entering service in 2002. A total of 57 of these train sets were built. The design maximum speed is 140 miles per hour, though in service they're only permitted to go up to 125 miles per hour, and they do have a speed record of 145 miles per hour. The weight of each Class 390 set is 466 tonnes, and there is a total of 6,840 horsepower. Inside the cab of the Pendolino, I need to put the reversing handle into the forward position, and over here you can see that we have a combined traction and brake controller. There is actually a 6-step brake, so from neutral to step 6, and then there is a 7th position which is the emergency position, and going the other way from neutral there is a 4-step power handle. So we have 4 steps of power and 6 steps of brake. Other than that, unfortunately, there is no AWS self-test sequence, though of course the AWS is indeed simulated on this train, and also the driver safety device, which is there in real life, hasn't been simulated. Departing from Preston, the starting speed limit is 35 miles per hour, and we've got around 21 1/3 miles to go to the next stop, which is Lancaster. As we get close to 35 miles per hour, I'm going to shut off the power and allow the train to coast until we're able to accelerate further. The speed limit will shortly be going up to 80 miles per hour, and we will be passing the 80 mile per hour board just as we enter this right hand curve just coming up. So here is the 80 mile per hour speed board, and we can be sure that the rear of the train has passed the board. As we reach the overbridge you can see just coming up. So as soon as we reach that, I'm going to go into full power to accelerate up to the 80 mile per hour speed limit. Once again, as we reach 80 miles per hour, I'm going to idle the power just temporarily. The speed limit is now going up to 110. As you've probably seen, we've just passed the 110 speed board. And we can accelerate for that now as we pass the red and white checkerboard marker that you've just seen. On the right you can see Oxheys Goods Loop. As we reach 110 miles per hour, I'm now reducing the power. I've cut it back to step 1. As soon as the speed readout is reading 110, I will then idle the power and allow the train to coast until we're able to accelerate further. The speed limit will shortly be going up to 125 miles per hour. Speed limit is now going up to 125 miles per hour, and we can accelerate on the AWS ramp just here. So I'm now going to go into full power. Once we reach 125 miles per hour, we will realise how difficult it is to maintain a speed in this train. It seems that we're either accelerating or decelerating. So as we reach 125, I'm going to idle the power until we slow down to around 122. At which point I will reapply power at step 1 just to bring us back up to 125 again. On the left we're just passing Barton and Broughton up loop. will shortly be needing to slow down for our approach into Lancaster. We're currently passing Oubeck goods loops. And so the next signal is an approach controlled flashing double yellow signal. I'm going to allow the train to continue to coast. There will very shortly after this be a Morcambe board warning for a speed reduction to 75 miles per hour. As soon as we get the warning, which will be now, we're going into an immediate step 4 brake application. Into step 5 braking for a second there. I slightly misjudged it, but I'm now into step 4, and so we should slow down about right for the 75 mile per hour speed limit, which is coming up just along this straight here. There will then be a long sharp left hand curve as we head in towards Lancaster. I'm going to release the brakes as we drop to around 70 miles per hour, as there is a downhill gradient of 1 in 100 as we round this curve. We're now entering the 75 mile per hour speed zone. I will shortly also need to brake further, as we will have a 40 mile per hour speed limit as we cross the points to enter the platform at Lancaster. So I've now put the brakes into step 3. So that I can continue to slow down. You can now see that we have a single yellow signal with a feather telling us that we are going into the platform at Lancaster. I'm applying one extra step of braking just to ensure that we slow down in time. Now that we've reached 40 miles per hour, I'm releasing the brakes and I'll just allow the train to coast. As soon as we cross the points, I will slow down further. Here at Lancaster, we do need to stop right at the end of the platform, although I personally feel it looks slightly better and slightly more accurate if you were to stop a little before the end. Unfortunately for me, the doors will not actually open on the train. So as a result, I'm going to have to stop right at the end of the platform so that the doors will open. Departing from Lancaster, the starting speed limit is 40 miles per hour, and we've got just over 19 miles to go to the next stop, which is Oxenholme. Once again, as we reach 40 miles per hour, I'm just idling the power to allow the train to coast. As we rejoin the main line here, the speed limit has gone up to 110 miles per hour, and we can accelerate for that at the end of this bridge. So now we've just finished crossing the bridge we were going over, and they're going into full power to accelerate up to the 110 mile per hour speed limit. here the line to Morcambe now diverges to the left, and I will be covering this in a video coming up soon. You might have also noticed the speed board that we just went past, which meant that the speed limit has now increased to 125 miles per hour. And now coming in from the left in a second, you'll see the line from Morcambe. Now that we've got to around 125 miles per hour, I've idled the power to allow the train to coast. The speed limit will shortly be dropping to 110 miles per hour at Carnforth. Next signal just coming up, I'm just going to apply some light braking to ensure that we slow down to 110 in time for the speed limit. We are now passing Carnforth, and the speed limit just here is now going back up to 125 miles per hour, so I'm now going back into full power to accelerate up to that. We are now temporarily climbing on a gradient of up at 1 in 134, so I'm using a slightly higher power setting to try and maintain speed. So we're going between step 1 and step 2 power. Gradient has now levelled out a bit, so I've just idled the power to lose a little bit of speed, and once again we'll be going between idle and step 1 power to ensure that we stay at around 125. footbridge, which we're now passing under, we've got just over 7 miles to go to Oxenholme. Take note of this second footbridge just here. The next overbridge just coming up, I'm going to be braking for a reduction in speed to 115 miles per hour. Now at 115, I've released the brakes and I'm allowing the train to coast. The next speed reduction is to 105 miles per hour, which is 3/4 of a mile from the speed board which we just passed. So I'm allowing the train to continue to coast. And I'm going to apply the brakes now, just lightly, to try and bring us down to 105. Probably noticed the speed limit did go back up to 110 miles per hour. I realise I forgot to mention that, so I've just been accelerating back up to 110 now. Here at this footbridge with the signal and then the overbridge straight after it, we now have 2.5 miles to go roughly to Oxenholme. We're going up on a gradient of 1 in 111, so I'm briefly going into step 2 power. Braking point for Oxenholme is straight after the neutral section that you just see on this left hand curve. I'm going straight up to step 5 braking to bring our speed off nicely, and I will reduce the brake force as we get closer to Oxenholme. Speed limit has gone down to 90 miles per hour here immediately before the station, so that will be our starting speed limit when we depart. Once again here at Oxenholme, I'm aiming to stop at the end of the platform to ensure that the whole train fits. Departing Oxenholme, the starting speed limit is 90 miles per hour, and we've got around 32 miles to go to the next stop, which is Penrith. The speed limit is now going up to 95 miles per hour. Something which I don't believe I've mentioned on this journey yet is the differing speeds for Class 390 Pendolinos and conventional trains. As you'll see, a lot of these speed limits along this route are dual speed boards, with the top limit being the speed limit for conventional trains, and the bottom limit with a yellow background being the speed limit for tilting trains, which would be the Class 390 Pendolino and the Class 221 Super Voyager. As we reach 95 miles per hour, I'm now going to reduce the power. We're presently in step 1 power. I'm just going into idle to make sure that we don't break the speed limit. We will shortly be going uphill on a gradient of 1 in 129, at which point I'm going to need to apply step 1 to 2 power to roughly maintain our speed. past the two repeaters on the left and under this green footbridge, we're now half a mile from the next speed limit, which is 90 miles per hour. So I've just idled the power to allow the train to coast down to that speed. I've just applied one step of brake and now release that. We're now passing through Grayrigg. This was the site of an unfortunate derailment in 2007 where a Virgin Pendolino derailed on a faulty set of points. I believe there was only one fatality, and while one is still too many, it could have been a lot worse. So at present, while we're doing 90 miles per hour, I'm going between idle and step 1 power to ensure that we don't lose or gain too much speed. Speed limit is now going up to 100 miles per hour, and we can accelerate at the small grey box that we're seeing just coming up now. Now that we've passed that, I'll go into step 3 power to accelerate up to 100 miles per hour. Speed limit has now gone up to 105 miles per hour, so I'm just applying step 2 power to gently bring us up towards that. We're now passing Tebay, which is also the start of the Shap incline. So for the next few miles we will be climbing on gradients as steep as 1 in 98, I believe. Speed limit has now gone up to 110 miles per hour for tilting trains, so I'm just applying additional power to bring us up towards that speed. signal we've just passed, we're now 1¼ miles from the next speed limit, which is a drop to 80 miles per hour. So I'm now going to idle the power, and as we've just passed the 2 small walls you see there, I've now gone into a step 5 brake application to bring our speed off for the 80 mile per hour speed limit. Now reducing the brake application. And now giving us some power. We slowed down just slightly too early there. You can see the 80 mile per hour speed board just coming up now. So we're now in the 80 mile per hour speed zone, and as you may notice, a speed drop from 110 to 80 so drastically actually makes us appear to be going slower than we actually are. So we've now reached Shap Summit. The gradient is now levelling off, and the long uphill section has ended. Speed limit is now going up to 105 miles per hour, and we can accelerate for that on this left hand curve here now. Now 3/4 mile from the next speed limit, which is a drop to 90 miles per hour, so I'm just applying some light braking to bring us down to that. So correction, 95 miles per hour, not 90 miles per hour. Now that we're doing 95, reducing the brake force, and now releasing. We are going downhill slightly, so I'm having to use between idle power and step 1 braking to maintain our speed. I have just applied the brakes for the next speed limit, which is 80 miles per hour. As you can see, we've just passed the speed board there now. So as you can see, this is a fairly long 80 mile per hour section, though the speed limit will shortly be going up again to 105 miles per hour. We are still going downhill, so I am still going between idle power and step 1 braking to try and maintain our speed. Speed limit is now going up to 105 miles per hour, and we can accelerate at this overbridge just here. We've now got around 6.5 miles to go to Penrith. See, a loop has formed on the right hand side there, so we're passing a loop, and at this overbridge just after the loop we're just over 1 mile from the next speed limit, which is a drop to 95 miles per hour. So I'm going to brake for the 95 limit at the next overbridge just coming up. Speed limit is now 95 miles per hour, and the 95 board is just over half a mile from the 70 from a speed reduction to 75 miles per hour. So I'm braking for that now. You can now see the 75 board just coming up. We're now around 1.5 miles from our stop at Penrith. I'm just going to allow the train to continue to coast. There's no point in accelerating or giving it any power. We now round a long, sharp right-hand curve. At the end of this curve, as the track straightens out, that will be roughly the right braking point for Penrith. track has now straightened out, so I'm now going to apply the brakes up to around step 4. I've just added an additional step of braking as I wanted to ensure that we will slow down quick enough. Again, here at Penrith we will be stopping right at the end of the platform. Departing from Penrith, the starting speed limit is 75 miles per hour, and we've got just under 18 miles to go to the final stop, which is Carlisle. Speed limit is now going up to 120 miles per hour. I've just reduced the power just for a second to ensure we didn't accelerate too quick and the rear of the train end up breaking the speed limit. As we now approach 120 miles per hour, I've reduced the power to step 1, just to ensure that we don't break the speed limit. The speed limit will shortly be going up again to 125 miles per hour. So I've now gone into full power to accelerate up to 125. Here at this next overbridge just coming up is a braking point for the next speed limit, which is a reduction to 110 miles per hour. So I'm now applying the brakes to slow down for that. The speed limit is now 110 miles per hour. And will shortly be going back up to 125. The speed limit has now gone back up to 125 miles per hour. Once again at 125 miles per hour, I'm going between idle and step 1 power. This signal here with the houses nearby, I've now idled the power and I'm applying the brakes to slow down. There is a speed reduction coming up, which will be a reduction to 100 miles per hour. We're now entering the 100 mile per hour speed zone, and the 100 mile per hour speed board is 1 mile from the next speed limit, which is down to 95 miles per hour. So I'm just allowing the train to gently slow down to the 95 limit. We're now entering the 95 mile per hour speed zone. As you can see, there's quite a curve here with quite a tilt on the train. Shortly after this, the speed limit will be going up to 110 miles per hour. speed limit is now going up to 110 miles per hour. I'm going to accelerate just at the end of this curve here. Travelling along here, once again I'm having to go between idle and step 1 of braking to try and ensure that we don't break the speed limit. The outskirts of Carlisle. Now got a warning for a speed reduction to 75 miles per hour, which is quickly followed by a reduction to 20 miles per hour. So I'm now going to brake at this signal, a step 5 brake application. We now have the Morpeth board warning for the 20 limit coming up too. We are going down 1 in 100 along here, which is affecting our ability to slow down quickly. As the gradient levels out just here, I'm going to reduce the braking by 1 step. And then gradually continue to reduce it as we get towards the 20 mile per hour speed limit. Now entered the 20 mile per hour speed zone as we head towards Carlisle station. I am going to need to use the brakes now momentarily to control the speed, as there is a short downhill section that's actually downhill as steep as 1 in 43, which part of the train is now on. So I've just applied step 2 braking to ensure that we don't gain too much speed. I'm going to gradually reduce that as we get towards the platform here at Carlisle. Carlisle station features in a number of routes in Train Simulator, 4 that I can think of, so we're going to be seeing this station quite a lot. I've already driven to here once before on the Settle to Carlisle route, which was in one of my previous videos. And in one of my next videos I'm going to be driving the section which is part of the West Coast Main Line over Shap add-on from Carlisle to Dumfries in Scotland. So just aim to stop by the S-car stop sign, which we just have. Thank you very much for watching, and I really hope that you've enjoyed the video.